All right, you're good, Tobe.
We're live?
Yep.
We're live. All right, back at Hoagie's Garage, as per se normal, I guess you could say, as normal as I am. We're going to run through the sponsors real quick. We got Rapid Graphics out of Rock Rapids. Letter up your cars, make signs. He made a whole bunch of neat signs for vets for Heritage Days in Rocky this week. They were really cool. Mount Tabor Cabinetry out in central Pennsylvania. Morning Sun Marketplace, our other Pennsylvania sponsor. My Race Pass, if you don't have that and you're in the race, and I don't know why you don't have it. They cover everything. Heck, it worked out great this week, bud. Little side note here. We couldn't listen to the FM station at Huset's on account of the Outlaws being there, but you could listen to the audio on My Race Pass, so in the end, listen to it on My Race Pass.
Yeah, boy.
So, S2F, start to finish, they got Power I, half a dozen different tracks, Port City that they run, lots of racing to watch. Another streaming service. Skagit Speedway, of course, just got done with a great big week there. That was a lot of fun. Turn 2 Lodge down in Knoxville, literally what it says. There's a lodge right outside of Turn 2 where you can stay, a house you can rent. Kaiser Aluminum Wheels out of the Orange City Alton area. Pretty much every racing wheel you could possibly need, I believe. Fulkins Brothers Truckings for all they do for us, bud, and for all they do for racing in general. Heartland Hardware and Appliance out of Brandon, South Dakota, and George and Hayward in Iowa. We like to mention Hero Haven just for what they do for the vets with the Hero of the Night and stuff up at Huset's. And we always like to throw in a little Lumber Lounge and Garage with their bench racing. I believe they're probably live about now too. I think.
Yeah, he said it was going to be a little late because he had a cheer coaches meeting or something like that.
Cheer coach?
Not a coach, but a cheer. His daughter, I think, is in cheer.
Oh, so I thought maybe Snow was taking up cheerleading.
Cheer,
oh, okay.
So.
Anyways.
Did you mention start to finish?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
What do they got going on this week?
Looks like they have 3 races on June 27th on their streaming, and June 28th they have 5 on that night. So
plenty of races
start to finish. There's all kinds of races to watch. So, and now.
Push that on the button, bud.
Hey, we're here at Hoagie's Garage, and Tobe, we are really lucky tonight. We have the big winner from...
We're out on the West Coast.
West Coast Skagit Speedway, Trey Starks. How you doing?
I'm good, guys. How are you doing?
Good, good.
We're sitting here talking racing again, like I say it every week, I think. It can't be all bad.
So let's go over that race. Tobe and I, to be honest,
the whole weekend. It was
the whole
3
weekend,
days, right?
Yeah. So you can give us a little recap on Thursday and Friday, and then give us a lot more details on Saturday. Because I'll be honest, we were at Huset's.
Didn't watch anything.
And it was 100 and some degrees, and we were roasting every night. So we're just trying to get caught up on sleep ourselves. So give us a little update on how the whole weekend went.
Yeah, for sure. It's just, this one's been going on forever. As long as I can remember, it's been a very similar format where Thursday and Friday are the prelims, and Saturday is the finale. And basically the format is like it's the Knoxville Nationals, and like mainly Knoxville Nationals, a little bit of Trophy Cup maybe, but very similar where qualifying is weighted very heavily, and then you essentially have to move forward in everything. Everything's inverted, and you got to move forward to build points towards Saturday. I would say really the biggest difference between the Dirt Cup and Knoxville format is you don't necessarily have to, you don't have transfer positions in the heat race. So it's just all purely on building points. So after the heats and everything, they'll tally points in the line and made up that way. And then they have, 8-car invert in the heat race, and then 16-car invert in the feature. So after Thursday night, we went quick time, then 8th to 3rd in our heat. So that put us high point. And then we were able to go 16th to 11th in the feature on Thursday. That put us high point for the night. And then somewhat similar story on Friday. We were 5th quick, 8th to 5th in our heat, and then I believe 12th to 6th in the feature.
Okay.
And so we weren't necessarily high point on Friday night alone, I think we were like third best in points on Friday night, but between Thursday and Friday, that put us at high point going into Saturday. So, yeah, it was a really smooth couple prelim nights for us. We've had years at Dirt Cup before. I mean, I've had pretty much every version of Dirt Cup you could think of, but a lot of times, when we've been fast, with the format being such a heavy invert, it basically makes you, drive as hard as you can the whole time, because even though, like I said, your invert is 16, but like the cars in front of you are the next fastest car. So you're both, everybody's trying to race towards the front, and so you'll get racing pretty good, and sometimes the front, about halfway through the main, the front row cars that were a little behind that night start backing up to you, and it can get interesting. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I bet.
We've had years to where we've been really fast, and like last year, I was on 3 cars in 3 nights. I mean, I crashed a car every night, and but we were good enough to where we were so close in points. But on the final night, the car we were on and the equipment we had, everything was so torn up that it was we were just focused on surviving, and we kind of pieced things back together, and it wasn't ideal. Where this year, I kind of knew, to qualify good and just make decent headway in the features. I mean, you got to go forward in the heats to get some points, but just don't get too greedy, because there have been several scenarios where we've either crashed or something happened, and we tallied it at the end of the night and said, if you just would have finished where you were running, we'd be high points. And so I kind of had that in mind this year. I wouldn't say that we held back much during the prelim nights, but I was a little bit more cautious, because I knew that finishing the race above all, helps for points. I mean, obviously we had an 11th and a 6th place run on a prelim night. We weren't lighting the world on fire by any means, but we moved forward and we gained the points we needed to set us up for Saturday night. So yeah, then going into Saturday night, we were high point. We were locked into basically the last. What do you want to call it, the last phase of the full shuffle, to where, whether we won or lost, we were still on the front row. We didn't really lose or gain a row. But, I mean, winning the full shuffle was nice, because it's nice to have control at the start. So, James McFadden put on a heck of a run in that full shuffle. I think he went from, starting up the night, he went from 15th in points or something like that. Looking at a 15th to 16th starting spot in the feature, if he finished where he started in his heat, he ended up winning the heat race and putting him in the full shuffle, and then went, I think, from 7th up to the front row in the full shuffle. So he had that just tells you that just shows how, with that format, even though it's still heavily based on points, you're never really counted out, right? You can take yourself out of the hole on the final night because of the qualifiers. So, but yeah, we won the full shuffle, got I think it's the Dick Wilsky Pole Award, and then Saturday, it was a whirlwind for me, but everything kind of leads up and funnels into the feature on Saturday, and so we started on the pole and took off good. I felt like we had to redo the start a couple times. One of them they actually called. I don't know if you want to say they called it a jump, or they just didn't like how the start looked. So we pulled that one back. The second one, we had a car, I think, spin out before we got the lap in. So we had 3 attempts, or 2 attempts at a start before we got the third one to go. And I wouldn't say that made me nervous, but you can't give a guy like James too many attempts.
I was going to say, they were testing your patience, at least, you could say.
Yeah. I mean, there's only so much you can change up about an initial start, right? So it's like, you give him so many chances, he's probably going to, figure out a way to at least try and beat me into turn 1 here. But thankfully, we were able to get a good jump every time. And first, I would say we caught traffic and somewhere between the 5 and 10 laps in mark. And the first time we came around to traffic, I mean, this is a 26-car field, and it's, there's really good cars. I mean, I'm pulling up on guys like, Corey Eliason and Jesse Swafeld and a lot of the good guys from the West Coast. So these aren't, these aren't slouches. And when I pulled up to the back of the field for the first time, they were, I mean, minimum 3 wide, maybe even 4 wide. And it was kind of, you know, when I got to the same straightaway as them, I was watching them as far out as I could. But when I got to the rear bumper of them, I really just didn't have any good options. And honestly, getting aggressive wouldn't have helped because there wasn't any room. So
Yeah, there was no place to go.
Yeah, it was like gridlock on the freeway. I had to just pick which line that I thought was advancing and just kind of follow them through. I mean, obviously if there's a gap, you know, you'll go for it. But I mean, the last thing you want to happen is to, you know, first time you catch traffic, get a little too excited and end up running over a tire or getting crashed or something, because we've dealt with that too many times. You know, this was the year that we were going to try and execute everything perfectly. So, yeah, I waited. I was trying to be patient, and we were starting to move through traffic. And Chris Tanner got by me the first time. Was I think lap 13 or 14. And I mean, I was concerned, but honestly, we were pretty locked up in traffic, so I knew he wouldn't. As long as I, you know, didn't wait too long, he wasn't really going to get that far away from me.
Sure.
Just because we were in really, really thick traffic.
How many laps was the feature out there?
It was 40 laps.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, and that's what it's been for as long as I can remember. So I knew unless it went green to checker that we were going to get some sort of stoppage somewhere. So yeah, he gets by me, a couple laps go by, and then we get a caution, which I was indifferent about it because I felt like I was starting to get a run on him again, but also our engine wasn't necessarily running like we wanted it to, and I think the main thing is because the weather got a little crazy. There was a ton of humidity in there, and I don't really think anybody's engine was running how they wanted it to be. But so when the red came out, I told them, you know, I told my guys, don't worry about the car. The car's great. Just let's tune on this engine a little bit. So we made some fuel system changes. We changed the main fill. We changed high-speed pressure. Just anything that we could do to get it to run a little bit better because it was just really flat on the top. Just because there's so much humidity in the air, the engine can only get so much oxygen, and they only run so good. But I thought if we could get ours running a little bit better, we might have a little bit of an edge. So that's what we did. We worked on the fuel system, and we took back off. And
just to interrupt a minute, that's not every day you hear somebody screwing with the fuel system during a red.
No.
You know, usually it's tires, adjustment here, maybe a shock. But
I know I've never done it. I've never changed the main fill before, and I actually talked to Tim Engler on the phone today, and I told him that he makes a fill selector that instead of usually the main fill is in like a quick release inline little capsule, and changing a main fill on an open red that you have 2 minutes. That sounds like a nightmare. It's probably something that I wouldn't even attempt because never mind, you lose the fill for sure that you take out, but getting it back in the right way in a short amount of time, I don't think would be possible. But Tim Engler makes a pill selector that has an assortment of, I believe it's 5 pills in it, and so it was as simple as just turning a knob. It's basically like a dial-a jet, just like they used to have the old dial-a jet. Not something that the driver can get to. So it's just a little bit easier to switch. But yeah,
like a revolver cylinder, you just flip her to the next cylinder.
In that race. So I called Tim and told him, hey, just let you know, this stuff's working good, and it might have won us that race. So yeah, we changed that main fill, and yeah, it was a difference maker. But no, I'm right there with you. I know I've never done it, and I mean, you don't hear about it that often. I'm sure somebody's done it, but it's just not something that you would normally do.
Yeah, crazy. So when you restarted with Tanner Holmes, was it 2 wide then?
Side by side or single file?
Yeah, I would say I got a pretty good run on him, and it was one of those deals where I definitely didn't want to show him. I needed to execute it all at once because if I showed him the nose, then I mean he's smart enough and he's a good enough driver that he's going to take my line away with his hand.
Yeah.
So I would say I got on Smith about on the exit of 2 because Skagit does restarts on the backstretch. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Yep.
But it's something that's pretty unique. A lot of guys don't like it. I like it probably because I've had enough practice at them now, and I
Sure.
tend to be pretty good at them. But if I was a guy from out of town coming in, I don't know if I'd like them either. But
Home field advantage.
Yeah, it's different. I think it makes it interesting. I really do think it shakes it up a little bit more because it's not quite as predictable. You have kind of a wider range. You have probably 3/4, at least half of the backstretch where you can choose to go. In a 410, it gets exciting for the fans because usually when you're restarting out of 4, you're kind of turning with the stagger, and so the cars roll pretty nice. When you're trying to pick up the throttle from lower speed going in a straight line, they like to wheelie a lot. So
Sure.
it gets exciting for the fans, and we had a good restart, and then I kind of got to him to where I could pin him on the outside a little bit, going down the backstretch, and I threw a slider, but I didn't slide all the way across because I knew I wouldn't make it. I tried to leave enough of a lane just to where he was, I obviously didn't run over him. That's not necessarily how, a lot of guys would say, hell yeah, I'd run over anybody for $100,000, but I just don't know if I really agree with that. I get the theory, but I tried to leave him a lane because that's the last thing you want is to win the race because you crashed the guy. So,
Yep.
But I wasn't going to make it easy for him. So I just kind of squeezed him a little bit and kept him up on my outside out of 3 or out of 4. And I would say it was kind of like a full lap slide job. I executed half of it in 3 and 4, and then I threw another one on him that I knew I had enough clearance in 1 and 2. So we were able to stick that, and then it was just get back to lap traffic and just be a little bit more aggressive than the first time. Because the second time you come around, we lost a couple cars. We lost Justin Peck, and then I think Robbie Price got upside down. So I knew there was at least a couple less cars, and usually later on in the race they string out a little bit more. So I thought, once you get back to traffic, you can be a little bit more aggressive, and try and put as many cars between me and Tanner. Because obviously Tanner was good in traffic after he got me the first time. So I knew I had to put the whip to her a little bit more. And then just managing traffic from there on. I know I watched the lap counter. We got to about 5 to go, and I knew I had a little bit bigger gap in between the cars. And I don't know if you guys were able to watch or saw any highlights from the North race at Grays Harbor the Sunday before, but we drove by James, and I basically completely gave it away on the last corner by not protecting the bottom. So once we came around, I got that white flag. I knew I was not, no matter what happened, I was not going to leave the bottom open going into 3 and 4 because losing the race on the last lap is bad enough for 5,000 to win. It would hurt pretty bad for 100. So.
It would hurt for a long time.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's not something you wouldn't forget about. So I felt like we were able to execute everything we needed to. I feel like we put ourselves in position before. We've been fast before, but until this year, we were as fast as I think we've ever been, and we put ourselves in the best position we could have.
Yeah.
And then we executed everything in between. So
That's awesome.
it's basically simply explaining everything you have to do to win these races. That's why with the 3-day events, you have to be good the whole time, and you have to execute. When it turns out and pays off, and we can finish the job, it just makes it that much sweeter, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not that it means, well, whatever, but that one sponsor we got, Morning Somebody, Rick Fritz, he said congrats in the comments, and I'm pretty sure he wasn't saying that to you and me, bud. So he's telling you congrats on the win there.
Awesome, I appreciate it.
So, Tobin and I's memory is not very good. So I'm throwing this out there, and I couldn't be completely wrong. But was it last year or 2 years ago that you kind of won a couple races, some big money races, and didn't you have a baby or something about the exact same time?
Yep, that was last year.
Yes.
Look at you go, bud.
Our first son, Rowan, was born on August 16th, and then I think the high limit show at Grays Harbor he was 14 days old, and that was my first race back since we had him, and we won that. And then we went the following night. We won at where was it? Skagit Nationals first night. We won the Thursday, and then so that was 2 high limit races right in a row. We had never won a national touring race. Never won with high limit, obviously. And we knocked 2 of them off right in a row, so that was pretty cool. We were really fast on the second night of Skagit Nationals too. I think actually the second night we were the best we were all weekend, but we ended up breaking the rear end, and so we had a DNF there. And then I think we ran like 8 or so on the final night. So, but yeah, that was a really special couple weeks there for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So was the boy there then for this race then too, or?
Yep, he was there.
Okay.
He was there for both of those. He was there for a while. Until through Trophy Cup of last year, every race he went to, because they didn't come to all of them obviously, but he hadn't been to a race where we had lost yet. Every one of them he came to, I had won. I broke that streak this year at one of the local Skagit races this year, and my wife definitely let me know about it. But I'll put money on he's still well over 50% on wins and losses.
That's awesome.
He knows which ones to come to, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just pick and choose which ones you bring him to. Bring him to the high money ones.
So,
that's exactly right.
how old are you?
I'll turn 30 in March of next year, so I just turned 29. So I mean, it depends on who you ask whether I'm young or I'm old. I feel like I'm right in the middle right now. I'm for a young and up and coming, aspiring race car driver. I'm as old as the hill. But if you ask somebody else, then yeah, I'm still pretty young.
Well, you ask me and Bud, you're young yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So take us back. We know you have another podcast and stuff, but take us back. How did you actually get started in racing? And what age were you when you got started in the racing?
Yeah, so when I was 6 years old, my dad put me in a quarter midget, and that comes from my grandfather started racing. He started drag racing in the late 60s, and then ultimately got into a pavement midget. And from the 70s to all the way up until I think it was 2003 or 2004 that my dad retired. My grandpa raced pavement midgets up here in Washington State and down across the West Coast, and ventured out a little bit. And then my dad ran pretty much every USAC car you can think of, anything from midget, sprint car, to Silver Crown, dirt, asphalt, kind of anything. Not really much with a wing, and not as much on dirt. So, we ran. My dad ran the Copper World many times down at Phoenix. He went out and ran the Cruiser 100. He ran several Silver Crown races. Anywhere from here all the way out to, I think they ran Nazareth a couple times. They ran Richmond. I know he ran at Syracuse. So, yeah, we had a decent amount of experience in that. And so they started me off in quarter midgets. I moved up to micros, I think, when I was 9 or 10. I mean, I was really young. Besides quarter midgets, I know kids start even earlier than 6, but everything after quarter midgets, I was pretty young when I started. So, yeah, I ran micros when I was 9, and then I got in my first race was I believe it was a 410 race at Skagit when I was only 14. So that was in 2010. And I mean, I know there are a lot of young kids doing it, but I would say, or I can comfortably say now that I was way too young to be in a sprint car. I think that age, I mean, depending on who it is, but in most cases that is too young. I know I had no business being in them. We had some success, but I just thinking back, it's like, another year in micros wouldn't have hurt. But I ended up in sprint cars, and so ever since 2010, I've been doing it since, I think that makes this my 16th season doing it. So, and we've raced anywhere from around home to the Midwest to out in Pennsylvania with, our family stuff has been out. I've driven for other people, I mean, I don't think there's any replacement for the experience that I've gotten from sprint car racing, that's for sure.
So now what you're driving now then, is that the family car then?
That's our family car. And,
Okay.
and it's what I started in, and you know, even though I went out and raced for other people for a few years, you know, all the equipment still stayed here, and the racing program was, you know, still operational, but nobody was driving it. So, yeah, but now we're back in the family car.
So,
Go ahead. You said so first.
so the number on your car, is there a story behind it?
So that's funny you asked that, because they did a Q&A at Skagit, and my grandpa was standing right there, and he was the one that, you know, for the number 55, where it came from. And I asked him point blank, I said, I don't know if I've ever heard the story, if the number came from anywhere. And my grandpa basically said that's because there isn't a story. I must have seen the number somewhere, or it was a number that was available that day, or when whatever race he was entering, and that's just what it ended up being. So, yeah, I don't really know much about the origin story, and it doesn't sound like there really is one. It's just, that's the number he picked, and it's been that ever since.
That's
Easy enough.
That's
Going
pretty
back to my soul, what I was curious, obviously now you got a family and everything else, but if a national ride would come open for you, or somebody would ask you, would you do that again, or are you content staying on the West Coast?
I mean, it would take a very specific situation. I mean, for me, just my quick answer would be yes, because it would be what I want to do. But realistically, it would take a very unique situation, because we basically have we have a business here at home, and I've got a family, and the business that we have is we do a lot of manufacturing. It's basically CNC machining, to be more specific.
Yep.
But it's the employees are essentially myself, my mom, my dad, my brother, and my wife. And so, and you take one of those out of the equation, it just takes a big chunk out of it.
Sure.
So it would affect a lot. And I could do what I do not from home a little bit, not necessarily. I do a lot of the programming for the machines, so it is doable away from you know, our
Yeah, but not necessarily full time away.
Exactly, yeah. So I mean, in 2 years there, I was flying back and forth to Knoxville to race there weekly, and essentially I would miss a little bit of Friday all the way through basically late on Sunday, and that was if we were just racing Saturday at Knoxville. A lot of times
Yeah.
it was 2 days, and even that was getting to be a lot because it's really hard to reset and get back, and I mean, just from all the traveling, it's just, you're not very efficient. So
Yeah.
I would love to go back out and do it again, but it would take a very unique situation.
Sure.
Realistically, it could be, it could never really be a full-time schedule unless we grow the business back home to where it can sustain itself, and we can be gone for multiple days or weeks.
Yep.
That's another thing why we can't necessarily take off and go run a bunch with our family car, because my racing team is also the people that I work with every day. So
Yep.
You know, you take all the employees away from work if we go racing. So,
It's tough to keep the business afloat then.
Exactly.
And
So,
you know,
I would love to, but it would be tough.
yeah, and like, you know, you can't race forever, so you gotta have something to fall back on. So you hate to close up the family shop to go racing for 5
Oh,
years
yeah.
or something, then have to start over again, so. You know.
Yeah, making a living being a race car driver in general, let alone a sprint car driver, it's doable, and there's a lot of people that are doing really good at it, but I don't
Yep.
think anyone realizes how tough it is. So, yeah, it's not a gamble that I would necessarily be willing to take at this point.
Sure.
Do you have shirts available, and are they online? And if you want to mention your sponsors before we get to rapid fire, that'd be great.
Yeah, so merchandise, yes and no. I say yes and no because we had a store up for a while, and I'm working on getting it rebooted onto our website. We do technically have merchandise, but thankfully we sold out basically of everything this weekend. So we're already
That's
working
awesome.
on a reorder. And for the most part, it's available at the racetrack. But until I get our online store set back up, I can sort of take orders like either through social media but it's basically you tell me what you want, and I'll give you, a link to either PayPal or Venmo, and I'll try and basically get it shipped out as fast as I can. But it's definitely not a streamlined system. So, yes, it is available. It's probably really hard to get if you're not coming to Skagit every weekend, but it is doable.
Well,
and then sponsors. I mean, it's a short list. I mean, TNC Concepts is our main business, and that's kind of what funds most of it. But I have a lot of good partners that have been with me for a long time. J&J Auto Racing, Jack and Bonnie at J&J. They make, that's whose cars I run, and I have run for. I've been on a J&J with a Fisher engine in the car, whether it's 360 or 410, since 2013 or 14. So that's kind of been our winning combination. AL Driveline is a huge supporter of us. We run basically every drivetrain component from his CV joint to his titanium drive shaft. We run his billet one-piece torque tube, torque ball housing, pretty much everything in the drivetrain between the rear end and the engine and motor plate. AL Driveline makes Newland bar service, stock 6 torsion bars. That's mainly who we have helping us out. I mean, it takes a lot. With TJ Ford are the wheels we run. Vortex wings, they're from right back there where you guys are.
Yep.
RJ Johnson takes really good care of us.
Yep.
And most of the stuff that I've run for over 10 years. And it's just all about finding, people that you enjoy working with and that treat you right. And thankfully it's led us down the path of success here lately. So it's a nice full circle moment for us because you put in years and years of work, and now you finally get to see it pay off a little bit.
I'm going to throw a little plug out there for the Sprint Car Hall of Fame, bud.
Yeah.
The car they're raffling off this year is a J&J. You might want to check into buying some tickets.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, absolutely.
Win a sprintcar.com. Get yourself a free sprint car.
All right, we'll get through these rapid fire questions quick. What's your favorite kind of ice cream?
I would say favorite ice cream probably be something like chocolate mint.
Okay, that's always a popular one. It
Yep.
seems like. You a cat or a dog person, or don't like any of them?
I like both. I have a dog. I don't have a cat. Yeah, I'm not too partial to either one.
Okay.
Do you have any hobbies other than racing?
No, I mean, we golf a little bit, and it's definitely a hobby because it's me and my brother and my buddies go out basically as much as we can. But that's all it is to the hobby because we're no good.
All right, we're going golfing with you sometime then.
Every time I golf with Dominic and Gio sometimes, and when I golf with Dominic, it makes me feel really good about myself, and when I golf with Gio, it makes me feel really, really bad about myself. So, you got two opposite ends of the spectrum there. But yeah, I would say, obviously racing is a huge hobby. It takes a lot of time, so you don't get a whole lot in and around that. But yeah, I would say we do golf a little bit.
Between racing and work and having a kid,
Exactly.
you squeeze the golf game in when you can.
Yeah, my two favorite things when we had Dominic Selzy on was he broke. You'll see coming up here a favorite place to go eat. He broke it down into 3 categories for us, and then watches. I never knew he was into watches so much, but he loves his watches.
He collects about everything there is to collect. You need to ask him next time you have him on what his collector item of the week is, because but he doesn't. Here's the thing: is he doesn't get rid of them. He just keeps adding things that he collects.
So he just buys more storage bins.
Exactly, that's correct. So his latest thing is he's building his gun collection. So next time you talk to him,
Oh, that'll be a good one.
Oh, Tobe loves guns, so.
He's currently trying to get his concealed carry permit in every single U.S. state.
Yep, that sounds like.
I got one of them, is all. Of course, I don't leave Iowa very often.
I think this is your question.
Okay, we better keep moving. How about a favorite movie?
Favorite movie would be probably something like raunchy, it's stupid, like super bad or old school or something like that. If anything with Will Ferrell in it is good or bad, it depends on which one. But yeah, probably some stupid comedy like that. There's a million of them.
Yeah.
Do you prefer snow or rain?
Snow, because it rains so damn much here that I'm tired of seeing it.
There you go.
We're hoping to get some here. Not last year, but this year we're hoping to get some. If you were going to be stranded on an island, what album or what type of music did you have to take along to listen to?
Probably something timeless that wouldn't get annoying. So I don't know, probably like some classic rock or something like that.
There you go.
That works. Can't go wrong with that.
Do you have a favorite place to go out to eat?
No, not necessarily. I don't feel like we go out and eat a whole lot. But I try and go maybe once a week and have a nice meal somewhere. We do have, in Washington State being close to the ocean, we do have some pretty good seafood options around here. So, yeah, I'd say somewhere that's got a pretty nice menu and got some good either, Italian or seafood on it.
If you're like my daughter, the child's at the right age where they're no fun to take out to eat. So you either got to find a babysitter or you get something to go.
Yep, I hear you.
How about a favorite holiday?
Favorite holiday? I feel like as a kid it was, either probably 4th of July, honestly.
Yep.
Christmas is great, but 4th of July was really exciting for us as a kid. I mean, obviously you get to blow stuff up, so.
Yep.
Can't go wrong doing that.
Yep.
How many speeding tickets do you have in your life?
So within the first 2 or 3 years of getting my license, I'm pretty sure I racked up 4 or 5. But I officially haven't had a speeding ticket in 10 years. So
that's awesome.
Records clean now.
It's amazing how
record was bad there for a while, but it's been pretty good at it.
there's a lot of drivers when they're 16, 17. They get a lot.
They get half dozen of them right away.
But however many the amount is to get your license suspended for 6 months, that's how many I got.
And I waited to get my first one until after I got married.
Yeah.
But so I'm a little different that way. What's the fastest you've ever driven on the highway or ridden in the car with somebody on the highway?
Well, one of my speeding tickets was for 77 and a 60. But what the cop didn't know is because I was coming over a hill, slowing down from going about 130. So
lucky for you.
That was one ticket that I would never argue.
Yeah.
It could have been a whole lot worse.
Absolutely.
But I think that after that, I don't think I ever really needed. I didn't see a reason to go, anywhere near that speed in a street car.
Yeah. What's your go-to drink? Favorite beverage?
Favorite beverage would probably be. I've been really into the white monsters lately, but my wife's been on me that I need to stop drinking so many of them. So maybe we'll chill out on that. As far as adult beverage. I like kind of any beer or seltzer, or if it's hard alcohol, it might be like a Captain Coke or something like that. We don't get too crazy, but every now and again, we'll have a cocktail. We had to have a drink the other night with Dominic after we came home from the races. So
I did see he come to the victory lane fairly soon after it got done.
Oh yeah, no, he was the first one there.
Yeah. Last one, then we'll let you go. But say you just won the lottery or whatever, you got all the money in the world. Is there a car, a pickup, a boat, or anything you always wished you could buy but didn't want to blow the money for it?
Oh, there's a lot of them. My grandpa has a beautifully restored 1969 Ford Cobra Jet.
Oh.
So I feel like there could be something older like that I would enjoy. My problem with it is if I'm gonna have it, I feel like I want to actually drive it.
Well, they're no fun without driving them. You don't need a trailer queen. They're no fun.
Exactly. Well, yeah. We bought. My dad took a late '60s Volkswagen, and he had an orange Volkswagen Bug in high school that he said he always wanted to recreate. So during COVID, he got bored and bought a shell of a late 60s Volkswagen Bug and built a tube frame for it and dropped a literal 4-pin sprint car engine in the front of it. And so now we have a bright orange, I don't think I've ever posted any pictures of it, but now we have a bright orange Volkswagen Bug that makes 900 horsepower, weighs 1,650 pounds, and has absolutely zero purpose. Like, if people always ask us, like, what did you build? It looks like a drag car. Are you drag racing it? We're like, no, we built it to drive around the street. Then they look at us funny. And, but that's just, I mean, that's just kind of how we've been forever. When I raced quarter midgets, we built every single one of our cars from scratch. When my dad raced midgets, he built all of his cars. We've been fabricators and builders of things for a long, long time. So, no, he literally just got bored and said, I'm going to take a Volkswagen Bug, I'm going to put a 410 engine in it just because I can.
Okay,
And
I have to ask though, but you got the Volkswagen. Now I'm going to assume you did not leave the skinny little Volkswagen original wheels on it. You put something on with a little more meat on it, didn't you?
Oh, no. Yeah, no, it's got big, wide, basically radial slicks on it.
Okay.
So I'll have to send you guys a picture of it because it's really hard to describe. It's a lot easier to take a look at it. Yeah, that was a project simply out of boredom, and we had time during COVID, nothing else was going on, so why not build basically a death trap on wheels?
Yeah, my wife had an early 70s Volkswagen when I married her, and yeah, I wouldn't want to do much over 60, 70 in one of them little things, so.
Yeah, well, that was another thing is that we have a GPS speedometer for it, and I got going. It's so small. It's actually scary because you don't realize how fast you're going in it.
Yeah.
I was going third gear going down a back road, and I looked down. My wife was in the passenger seat, and I didn't tell her this until after we were done, but we were doing about $140. And you don't even know it. I mean, it's not even hard to run it. Yeah, that's another reason just not to go. We don't need to go that fast on the street because we already do it on the racetrack.
You're using maybe 200 horse out of that 900 to move that little Volkswagen down the road. So
exactly. Yeah. No, I'll find a picture and send it to you guys. You'll get a kick out of it.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Well, Trey, this has been awesome. It was short notice, so we really appreciate you being willing to do this. You know what would be a blast sometime is getting your dad and your grandpa and yourself and just having a sit down chat with all you guys.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. There would be plenty to talk about. That's for sure. There's a lot of history between them too, and lots of years of racing. So we'll have to see if we can get everybody together and put that up sometime.
Yep, that sounds
that
great.
That would be great. We really appreciate it. Congrats again on the win, and best of luck the rest of the season.
Absolutely. Thank you guys very much. Hope to talk to you again soon.
We'll do that. Take care.
Yeah.
Hey, that was kind of fun, bud.
That was awesome.